You're listening to AI Signals, Daily Dose. 3 AI models just dropped that are going to make you rethink everything you assumed about where the best AI comes from. One of them can spin up 100 agents to work on your problem simultaneously. Another one just destroyed every other model on what might be the hardest benchmark ever created. And the third one? It is open source, it is dirt cheap, and on coding tasks, it is trading blows with Claude Opus 4.6. All three came out of China in the span of about 3 weeks. Today, we are going deep on 3 Chinese AI models that are genuinely pushing the frontier of what is possible. Forget the hype. These models are doing things that will change how you build, how you code, and how much you pay for intelligence. Let's get into it. Let me start with the one that blew my mind the most, Moonshot A. I released Kimi K 2.5 in late January, and it introduced a feature called Agent Swarm. Here's what that means. You give Kimi a complex task, and instead of grinding through it step by step like every other model, it spins up as many as 100 sub-agents that work on different parts of the problem at the same time, in parallel, coordinating across up to 1,500 steps. Think about what that means in practice. Say you need to research a competitor across 10 different dimensions: pricing, features, reviews, funding, team, tech stack, and so on. Instead of one agent slowly crawling through each one, Kimi launches a swarm. 10 agents go out simultaneously, each tackling a different angle, and the orchestrator stitches the results together. Moonshot built a whole new reinforcement learning technique called parallel agent reinforcement, learning to make this work. The orchestrator is the only part that gets trained. The sub-agents are frozen, and the reward function specifically incentivizes creating more sub-agents and completing more subtasks. The benchmarks back it up. On BrowseComp, which tests real-world web browsing and information retrieval, Kimi scored 74.9%. GPT 5.2 scored 57.8. That is a 17-point gap on a task that directly measures how useful an AI agent is in the real world. And the model itself is massive but efficient. 1 trillion total parameters, but only 32 billion are active at any time thanks to its mixture of experts architecture. It handles text, images, and video natively. It was pre-trained on 15 trillion mixed visual and text tokens, and it is open weight under a modified MIT license, so you can download it and run it yourself. Moonshot also released Kimi Code alongside it, an open source coding tool that works in your terminal, or plugs into VS Code, Cursor, or Zed. Think of it as their answer to Claude Code, but with native image and video input built in. Now, let's talk about the model that just embarrassed every frontier lab on the hardest test in AI. Alibaba released Qwen 3 Max Thinking in late January, and it went straight to the top of humanity's last exam. This is a benchmark specifically designed to be unsolvable through memorization. The questions are crafted by domain experts across dozens of fields, and no model was supposed to score well on it. Qwen 3 Max Thinking scored 58.3. That is 13 points ahead of GPT 5.2 and Gemini 3 Pro. 13 points on a benchmark where every point matters. That is not a marginal win. That is dominant. It also posted perfect scores on AIME 2025 and HMMT, 2 of the most elite mathematical reasoning benchmarks in existence. Perfect, 100% accuracy on both. Alibaba says their reinforcement learning pipeline for mathematical reasoning now matches or exceeds what Western labs are doing, and these results make that claim very hard to dispute. What excites me about Qwen 3 Max Thinking is what it signals about reasoning capabilities. For the past year, the assumption has been that the best reasoning models come from OpenAI or Anthropic. That assumption just got a serious challenge. And Alibaba has a track record of making their models widely available. The Qwen family has already overtaken Meta's Llama in cumulative downloads on Hugging Face, with over 700 million downloads as of January. And then there is GLM-5 from Zhipu AI, released on February 11th. This is a 744 billion parameter mixture of experts model with about 40 billion active parameters and a 200,000 token context window. On SWE-bench Verified, one of the most respected coding benchmarks, it scored 77.8%. That puts it right alongside Claude Opus, 4.6, and ahead of both Gemini 3 Pro and GPT 5.2 on that specific benchmark. But the part that has developers really excited is the price. GLM-5's API costs about $1 per million input tokens and $3.20 per million output tokens. For context, that is roughly 5 to 8 times cheaper than the top American models for comparable coding performance. If you are a startup trying to build AI-powered developer tools or an enterprise running thousands of coding tasks a day, the cost difference is enormous. And like the other two, it is fully open. Released under an MIT license, available on Hugging Face. Download it, fine-tune it, deploy it however you want. So let's zoom out and talk about what this wave actually means for you. First, the cost of building with AI just dropped dramatically. A year ago, if you wanted frontier-level coding or reasoning, you had 1 or 2 options, and they were expensive. Now you have at least 5 or 6 models that compete on the hardest benchmarks, and the Chinese ones cost a fraction of the price. A RAND report from January found that Chinese models run at roughly 1/6 to 1/4 the cost of comparable American systems. That is not a rounding error. That is a fundamentally different price point that opens up use cases that were not economically viable before. Second, open source is winning. The 3 most impressive model releases of the past month are all open source or open weight. You can download them, inspect them, fine-tune them, and run them on your own infrastructure. That matters for privacy, for customization, and for building things the original developers never imagined. Chinese open source models have now surpassed American models in total downloads on Hugging Face. The momentum is real. Third, the agent paradigm just leveled up. Kimi's agent swarm is not just a benchmark trick. It is a fundamentally different approach to how AI solves complex problems. Instead of one model thinking really hard, you get a coordinated team of agents working in parallel. If this approach scales, and early results suggest it does, it could redefine what we mean by an AI assistant. So that is the story. 3 models, all from China, all pushing the frontier in different directions. Kimi K 2.5 with multi-agent swarms. Qwen 3 Max, thinking with record-breaking reasoning. GLM-5 with frontier coding at a fraction of the cost, all open. All available right now. If you are a developer, I would seriously recommend spending a weekend experimenting with at least one of these. The capabilities are real, the prices are incredible, and the pace of improvement shows no signs of slowing down. Until next time, stay curious.